the Rolling Out podcast. Stories from people who just have to skate. Hello and welcome to the Rolling Out podcast, where I meet up with members of the Birmingham and West Midlands roller skating community and talk about their journey with skating, life, music, whatever else comes up as we chat really. My name is Stephen Camden, or Polar Bear, and I'm a writer and creative practitioner from Smethwick, and I don't skate yet. I just love stories and meeting interesting people, and the skating community in our city is full of them. Each of these pilot episodes is a long-form conversation with a different member of the skating community, recorded wherever they felt comfortable to sit down with me and share some of their story. Hope you enjoy. Alima is special. A person who somehow seems to consider the tiniest details whilst keeping a worldview so open and curious it's already led her to experience multiple walks of life and connect with people wherever she's been. This one really felt like the flow of a broader life story with skating intertwined along the way, and I left our meetup thinking if Alima had her own TV show, I would not miss an episode. Side note, we recorded it in a cafe in town, so there's background noise throughout, and I seem to mumble a lot in this one. I think that's mostly due to the fact that everything that Alima said seemed to spark like 3 more questions in my head at the same time. Loved it. Thanks, Alima. Here's our chat. Thank you, first and foremost, for redoing this after I've somehow messed up the other one.
It's okay.
As a way into stuff, there are 3 questions I've been asking to start us off. Basically, could you please tell me your name, where we are, and your first or an encounter with skating that feels like it was important as a beginning.
Okay. So my name is Alima. We are in Coffee Number 1, New Hall. And my first encounter to skating that was significant was seeing like this family of skaters from my church. They're a really big family, and they all used to skate at Tower Ballroom. And I'd go and they were just all skating together. And it was just nice to see family be so close, or like at least share a common interest.
How old would you have been at that point?
So like I feel like the first time I saw them, because it was like I had some peers in the family that were my age, but I don't know if they were skating yet.
Okay.
So maybe like 12 or 13.
Okay.
But I could be lying. It could have been younger.
Yeah.
But it was like going to actual Tower Ballroom.
So you were there not skating, you were there kind of...
Oh no, I would like rent skates out, but I wasn't good.
Okay.
Yeah. And they used to have like quads and inlines. And so I'd choose the inlines because it was easier to balance in them. But it wasn't until a little bit later that I bought my own skates, and then it made a bit more sense. But yeah, I was.
That feels like, because in my head now I'm seeing like almost kind of like a sepia thing of like this family all connected, like going along the thing with the memory.
Yeah.
Am I? Is it something that's quite visual? Can you? Is it something? Do you remember them? Like, were they together as a unit, or was it? Because there's something really fascinating about it not being an individual. Like other people I've been talking to, they might have seen somebody do something, or they've been taken along by somebody else. But to see a group as the first kind of thing, I go, yo, there's something cool about, the communal or the familial kind of energy of it. It's like
like the family is big, but it wasn't just like one family. It was like. So like say I had a friend, it was all of their cousins that would also skate, so their aunties and uncles.
Yeah.
So you'd see any combination of them at any given time at the roller rink. It didn't matter. Like they could come in full, or it might be like 3 or 4 of them, but they're all from the same family.
Yeah.
And so like, it was just, they were just the most prominent to me because I went to church with them. And not all of them went to church, but I just knew the extended family because of church. And yeah, it was just like really nice to watch. And I guess as well, because I don't have a big family like that, if you're not getting on with like the one or two people that are around you, how are you all getting on?
This is what I want
like
to get at.
Football team times
completely.
3. Like, so I think that was a really motivating factor, because it's like you can also choose your family in skating. It's like, wow, I can choose to be in this kind of space.
There's this cool thing, and you can. The appeal of that makes so much sense, right? So in terms of like, and then do you feel like it was quite clear connection between seeing that and that kind of feeling, going, I want to have a go, or like, because you say like, you know, you would have skated a little bit before, maybe like rental skates, but did that feel like it was was like your going into skating or taking it or getting your own skates? Was that a long period of time after that, or were you asking for skates quite quickly after that, or do you remember?
So like, I think there were 3 main things. The first thing was that, like, in school, we used to go like ice skating. But I'd say during like primary to secondary school age, maybe up until the age of 14, ice skating, and it just wasn't like, it was far and few between. Like, you don't just go every weekend. So there's something about roller skating that just felt a bit more accessible. The second thing was that I always wanted to skateboard, and my dad, he wasn't on board with that because he felt like it was dangerous. So even though I wasn't told I'm not allowed to do it, I wasn't really encouraged. So there was something about roller skating that felt a bit more safe. And third, I never like asked my parents or anything to get me skates. I just knew that if I could, I would. But I think I knew that if I wanted to skate, I'd need my own. Like, getting the rentals wasn't going to cut it, because even Towel Ballroom, it wasn't like weekly. It wasn't like the roller jam that we have now. Even though it may not be like the best place ever, the fact that it is open a certain amount of days a week, it's like that space isn't available, so you're going to have to skate outside, so you're going to need your own skates. So yeah, I would say those are the three main reasons. But in the end, I did end up like getting on a skateboard, so it's cool. But I was an adult, so.
Okay. So then look, to like thinking about that idea, I'm going to need my own skates. Were there ones that you looked at and were like, yo, they're the ones, or did you have an idea in your mind? Like, I guess I'm trying to work towards that first pair, because everyone's kind of mentioned that first pair and the allure, and they've been very different, to be fair, in terms of like aesthetically what these things are. So was there a pair that you looked at and like kind of zoomed in on, or was it more just like you went out and looked? Did you have an idea what they were in your head, or when you found that first pair that you're like, this is really my first pair?
Do you know what's funny? When you went to like Toys R Us, looked in the Argus book, Middle Island, Aldi, Lidl, the skates were clapped. Or it's just the colour schemes and stuff like that. So I knew that whatever I was going to get needed to be really plain. And when I went on the Skate Hut website, they had this pair of black SFRs, and they just looked, in those standards, because how old am I now? This is like almost 14 years ago. In those standards, they were clean and slick and modern looking. So I just went for them. They were artistic skates, didn't know what artistic meant. I knew that they didn't look like rentals, and they didn't look like those plastic add-ons. And so that's why I was drawn to them. They were just all black wheels, silver plate, black toe stop. It was just, they were blacked out.
Okay, which makes a lot of sense. That just seems like quality, right? There's something about that kind of says quality to my mind. So, nothing, but
They weren't, but...
Okay, they weren't though when they came?
No, as in like they were when they came, but like once I started leveling up in skating, I was like, oh, these are crazy. These are the ones. But they were also like 14 years old.
So come then, how old were we then when you actually invest in the first pair? 16. Okay, so
I saved 16. Up my EMA. Yeah. Because I was getting EMA back in the days. So
16. So did your school have a sixth form?
I went to a sixth form college.
Separate one. So you come to the end of. Was this in that kind of summertime after year 11 finished? So or were you still at school? Do you think?
No. I knew I was going to get them during the summer. Like I did like a little bit of work as an 11+ tutor.
Okay.
But I didn't make enough. So it wasn't until I got to college and I was like, I'm going to save up for my driving lessons. And then I was like, maybe I'm not going to do that because I keep spending it on sausage rolls. So then I saved up for the skates. But the skates weren't expensive.
Okay.
I think inflation-wise, like, they were like £40 to £60 back then.
Okay.
But I know that same pair of skates, if they were made today, to today's standards, they'd be like £100. Which is, that sounds about right. But
But enough of an investment that you have to mean it, right? And so, but you're at sixth form then, right? So is anybody else at sixth form skating, or does this feel like a very much like this is a me thing, or were there people around or that you were aware of that were already skating?
Once I started, so after college, during college, I didn't know anyone. There were quite a few people that skateboarded, but that was like more of the trend then.
And there wasn't much of a mix, right? Is that correct if I'm wrong in saying like it's not like you were going to the spots where skateboarders would be and roller skating? That they weren't. They didn't really happen in the same space. I remember.
But I didn't even go to those like skateboarding spots. I feel like after school, I'd come out of like. So my school was in Wolverhampton and I was commuting essentially to school. And so I didn't really have a life outside of school. I didn't do extracurricular. I got home a lot later than all of my peers. When I got home, I had a lot of homework to do. So I never really developed like that sense of like, hanging out with my friends after school. But and when I got to college, I noticed that was the difference between me and them. So when like people went skateboarding, they were like going after college. And I didn't have that in my head as a thing to do. I always thought, like, bro, don't you have homework to do? I didn't project that or anything. But so by the time I felt like I could have gone out and stuff, I just hadn't. So then I was a little bit shy. So it wasn't until I finished college and started working at the cricket grounds that I met someone else that like was on something with wheels, and it wasn't roller skates, it was skateboard. But I remember one time we just went to Camden Hill Park. I had my roller skates, she had a skateboard, and that was like really fun. Even though we weren't on the same wheels, it was like, okay, we're doing something together.
And there's something together. And at that point then, because that's that's after college. So that's a couple of years you've had your own skates. And how regularly are you skating by yourself then at this point? Like, when you went to the Camden Hill after college, are you feeling decent? You can kind of, or how early does it still feel in terms of your own?
The difference between being in the rink and like the park was just the different terrain. So I did feel like a bit more nervous when I was in the park. But you do build up fearlessness a lot quicker. So I would have said, I was like going forward. I could do basic things, but I didn't feel like confident enough to maybe go to like a roller skating jam or something like that. Just because it had been a while since I'd been in a rink, and then because Tower Ballroom was on its last legs. Or I think it was closed by then. It just felt like those spaces were missing anyway. And I also stopped going to church regularly, so I didn't even feel like empowered to like ask the people that I'd watched like 10+ years prior where they skated and stuff. And because they were at a certain level as well, I didn't want to hold anyone back. But in the same breath, I also didn't know about all the different types of skating.
This is what I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask about a stylistic question, because it's like, because it's interesting because, the idea of the communal aspect of it, or the kind of like, we're doing this with someone, and the kind of the attraction and the appeal of, like, I mean, you're skateboarding, but there's wheels involved, I want to go together, that feeling like always having a pull to it. But in your mind, and you can hold your own and you're kind of skating and stuff, but stylistically, if I ask was there like, were you imagining getting proficient in a certain kind of way, or what was the stylistically, were you making choices at this point, or was it just I'm just doing it and it's going to show itself?
Well,
big question, I guess. Sorry.
No, but I feel just throughout life I've understood that like you have to learn fundamentals before you can build on them. So even if like I wanted to be a speed skater, if you can't skate forward or backwards or stop, then you're finished. But then that's like a baseline for nearly every part of skating. So even if I saw something that I liked, I just thought to myself, I need to learn how to go forwards and backwards and stop.
Yo.
So like I'd focus on that, but I was drawn to like maybe I did like the dancing because you do it in a group, you do it with other people. As someone that's shy, it's like you feel like you belong and stuff like that. But if I relate it back to like why longboarding was such a big thing for me, it's because I could just go off on my own and like forget about things.
Which does that feel like a very different relationship to skating?
Yeah.
Because skating almost like, you know, this is me on my board and and skating is about the group. Is that fair to say? Is that a simplification?
Like I can get on my board and have a great time on my own and just be off. Even though like I'm trying to learn a lot more about like longboard dancing. Even when I look at the longboard dancers that I like they're on their own, like doing a line and someone's filming them, and that's really about
it's a solo thing.
Yeah. So like if I was going street skating though, like in my roller skates, there is something about being with other people that is like, it just feels better.
Yeah. So like you mentioned dancing there. So is dancing something you discovered at Cannon Hill? Was it specific like that, or was it like, are we online at this point? Are we checking stuff out? Or
I'd seen like. Yeah, during even uni time, like I'd seen dancing and stuff on skates, and then also just like the actual culture. Like in America, I'd seen like Venice Beach and what the culture was like then back in the 80s, and then watching videos of like JB skating and like where that came from. And it's like all these different types of dances. It's just the same as like when we talk about like UK rap and grime and stuff that's like quintessential. Yeah. It's like I could see all those different things and be like, that looks cool, but I still need to know how to skate backwards, skate forward, stop, pivot, like all these little.
But that's so interesting to me because it's like I don't want to. That's like a lack of arrogance, right? In the sense of, but if you're starting something and doing something and you're seeing things, there's a certain. I don't want to be like grandiose, but there's a certain wisdom in like to go right. Okay, I'll lock these things down.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like respect. Maybe that's like. Is there something in? Is that the way you? Would you say you approach other things in that kind of way? Like, is it like?
Yeah, I do, because like I'm gonna try and find the words.
Yeah.
But it's not like I hate embarrassment. That's like the wrong way to say it. But I don't like to open up my mouth if like I don't know what I'm saying. And like if I do get something wrong, like I'm fine with saying, oh, my mistake. But reality is, if I'd just like done a bit more research, then I would know chatting essays. Yeah. So it's like when you think about skating, you can break your neck.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not just about like embarrassing. You could literally.
Yeah, and it's just like a lot of the times when I'm drilling one thing. Okay, say if I've seen something that I really like, I try it, I realise my balance isn't too great or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll drill other things, and then like sometimes I'll clock that I can actually do that move now that I've drilled the basics, and like there's joy in those like little surprise moments. But also like when I first started like roller skating properly and like regularly, I was in the skate park, and I remember people would say to me, oh, if you want to do these moves, you're going to need to remove your toe stops. And I'm like, deep in Scotland, in a skate park, I can't remove my toe stops, and I'm going to wear full safety gear. And I built up fearlessness doing that. So by the time I moved to Birmingham and started street skating, I wasn't pooping myself, but I know that I wouldn't have been able to just go into street skating without knowing what it felt like to fall down a bloody ramp and like do it safely. So yeah, I just feel like how you're saying respect, like there is something to going in order. Like there's a reason why you teach things in a certain order and you build on.
At least fundamentally, right?
Yeah. I just don't want to break my neck unnecessarily. And
it's not that deep, really.
ever. And definitely feel like, how I was saying, you get the joy in those moments of discovering that you can do something. I do like to document things, but usually I do it for myself. And so because I made like an Instagram to document it, it's like that accountability with yourself and like between others as well. But I would not have been able to imagine myself at the point that I am now if I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
And I'm just so glad that, like, even when it's boring, I just decided to keep drilling things.
Yeah.
Because it helps me with my confidence.
Yeah.
So again, it's that I don't want to open my mouth if I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That helps me with my confidence to know what I'm doing, to understand the parts of the skate that make it feel the way that it feels and why things aren't going right for me. Like it brings me like,
it's like core almost, right?
Yeah,
like
it makes me feel less anxious.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, I want to get to this, but what's interesting is that we've mentioned there's two specific locations you mentioned. You mentioned Wolverhampton, going for school and coming back, and then you mentioned Scotland. Bit of a distance between them two places, right? So like, can we? No, but like with the way in which you're speaking it, it feels like this was the way the story was supposed to happen, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, can we get into so in Brum, but then commuting to school, Wolverhampton, right? Was college nearer home?
Not even. It's long, man.
Go on.
So Wolverhampton, you get on the tram.
Yeah.
It's a lot further away, but I'd get bus. Crazy at 11, but we moved.
Yeah.
And I'd have to leave the house at like 7.
I was gonna say.
But then going to college, I had to go through like the 11 bus route, so it just took ages.
Yeah,
and it would take around the same kind of time. And I'm just like, but I'm in Brum, so it didn't really matter, did it? It was the same kind of losing a lot of time. The only difference is that at sixth form, you're not doing like lessons from 9 till the end of the day. But So then that's in Brum, but then you mentioned uni as well. Was uni somewhere else? No, uni was in Brum.
Uni was in Brum.
Yeah.
So uni's in Brum, and we're skating through this time, right? Like in sixth form you were, then uni was
uni
it still
was when I did the longboarding.
Right, as in like you did the longboard and like skating got put to the side in that way, or was it still?
Yeah, like I just didn't take my skates out really.
Okay.
Because
why did you
like if I did, I was doing it in my room.
Okay.
Just I hadn't found like a community, but with longboarding, there was like a program that was on during the summer.
Okay.
So I went, and it was like a group of people that are all interested, even though we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then I did know what I was doing, and then it was fun, and I'd made friends. Like 2 of my closest friends ever in this life are from that time. So yeah.
I love when something. And this is going to sound really short-sighted on my part, but like being from here, I've been the majority of my life never seen a longboard, let alone experienced someone with a relationship that has been that kind of like impactful on it.
Yeah.
So I find that so magical that thing. I love when I discover things that I never knew existed in places I've walked past or I've been around. I love that feeling, right? I find it like really, really inspiring because it's essentially its potential like manifests, right? But like so you're longboarding and there's something in that, like you said. It's like, but it's interesting because before you said like the longboard is like me and the thing, and yet. So it's almost like concurrently, other people are doing the same thing, but you get close because it's like
it was kind of like, I wouldn't have bought a longboard because they're expensive. Like, buying a longboard is like, it's best to go custom, even if it's like a beginner one. And so like I wouldn't have been able to afford to buy a longboard, and then to have someone teach me how to longboard, where was that? So it was like this program was on.
Where was that again, sorry?
It was in Camden Hill Park.
Okay.
It was run by Girl Dreamer, and it was for basically women and femme presenting or NBs, and women of colour as well. So, it was just like being in that space and seeing other people that looked like me that were interested in what I was doing kind of like motivated me to keep going. And the fact we were learning together it felt like we could bounce off each other. I wasn't trying to infiltrate like a scene that was already established. But then once I learned how to longboard, I would notice other longboarders that I hadn't noticed before. But the thing about longboarding, once you've learned it, it's fun to be around people, maybe to learn new tricks or whatever. But it is also a mode of transport. Yeah. It is also like a way to just be free. It's like going for a cycle. Like it's a lot faster. It's a lot more zip, zip, zip. Unless you're doing like freestyle tricks, like there's something about it that can be less technical. So, yeah, what I get out of it now is the fact that I can be on my own. Yeah. But it's not, I don't feel that yet with roller skating. You know what, I'm lying. It's because I'm in the UK. Yeah. Listen, when I'm in Spain, I can be on my own. Yeah. It's hot. The ground is like smooth. I can go for miles and feel quite okay. I think in the UK, I feel a bit off when I'm on skates because maybe it's less safe. I don't know. Maybe if I was a guy, I'd feel a bit different as well. But
I'm sure there are just multiple factors in that kind of thing. But I guess what's interesting to hear you then goes like, right, mode of transport. Yeah. Right. So longboard, I've had this mode of transport, but to my mind, because of my, even with speed stuff, skating feels like almost like an expressive thing. Yeah. And not that it's less practical, but in my mind, so do you find yourself compartmentalising it in the sense of like, right, you're not going to go, okay, I've got a meeting at thing, I'm going to put my skates on and get there, right? Yeah. That's not going to happen. No. Do you think anyone does that?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah, especially in London, but they've got like better floor.
Okay.
Like they've got the bike lanes and flatter surfaces, so there is something about it, because even when I go to London, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to skate back to my friends from the skate event. Okay. I'm not doing that in Brum. No way. Yeah. And also, because there's different types of skates, the skates that I would wear in the ring are different from the skates and the wheels that I'd wear on the street. Okay. Whereas with my longboard, it goes over most terrains, and I'm not going indoors, am I? But yeah, it's just...
Okay then. Yeah, wicked. Yeah. So now I want to get to like the different kinds of skates. Yeah, but can we go back to then? So look, Wolverhampton, Brum, Uni. When does Scotland happen, and the reasons why, please? So
COVID hit. I was a hairdresser. Had to stop taking clients. Landlord raised the rent. Couldn't afford it anymore. So I was able to stay in Scotland for like £200 a month. Me thinking it's only going to be a few months. Turns out, no, lockdown forever.
Whereabouts was it again? Because you told me before.
In Kirkcaldy 5.
Yeah, I was going to say this wasn't like metropolitan.
No,
this was
giving village boys.
Coastal.
Was it was on the coast, like along the 5 coastal path. Like it was a 30-second drive to the beach. Yeah. But it was like lots of land, lots of space.
In the middle of everyone being inside, mostly.
Yeah, but like it was easy to like go for a run, be on my longboard. Like, and it was summertime, it was going into like hot weather, so I'd go to the skate park and we're all social distancing. Yeah. But we're having a great time. Yeah. It was like really surreal when I think about it. But yeah, I was like, I started off longboarding every day. And then I bought my roller skates up eventually because I'd seen a girl, like, she was only 16, DBS case. But yeah, she was only 16 and I saw her. She had quads on. I said, oh, I'm going to take mine out and we can go out together, and then we'd go every day. And so that's when like I got really back into it. I was just in a skate park.
But isn't that fascinating? Not fascinating. Like, that's interesting in the sense of it's like, right, these things, the initial... And the what really kind of sparks the impulse and the energy to get these things on your feet is someone else.
Someone else, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the kind of the gorgeousness of that. The kind of like, yo, yeah, because this is what this is. This is a shared thing, and so that impetus. You don't see that person. Maybe it doesn't happen in the same way. Maybe at some point you would have got them out, or whatever. But hypotheticals don't really matter.
But look, that was a feeling. You are right, because I would bring my longboard and skates at some point, and like if she wasn't there, I might not put my skates on, but I'd continue longboarding. Yeah. Like that didn't bother me.
And did you feel like was she at a stage where she was already kind of cool with it? Were you helping her? Were you imparting stuff, or did it feel like
she came from a roller derby background? So it's just speed skating,
Yep.
being able to
Knock people
the
over.
agility. Yeah, so like a lot of her skating was about strength, but she
Okay.
was trying to like get better at skate park skating. Whereas for me, I had just started skate park skating. So
What does that mean? Sorry to interrupt you, but what does that mean, skate park? Does that mean?
like what skateboarders go with the ramps?
Oh,
and
yeah,
the
half
poles.
pipes and stuff. Okay, so you're navigating.
Yeah. So that's what I meant by it built up fearlessness.
Yeah,
'Cause it's
yeah.
like if you know you can go down a ramp
Yeah.
and catch yourself on the other side.
Yeah. What else? Can you, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was. Can we try and paint a little picture, like in the sense of like, right? Are we bringing the Bluetooth speaker and putting stuff on and going?
Yeah.
Is that what's happening?
The Bluetooth speaker would be like sitting on the highest ramp, because hardly anyone would do it.
Yeah.
We'd have our
Go on.
bags and our snacks in our bag,
Yeah.
and we'd have to like, you're like, do you want to sit down and eat sandwiches now?
Yeah.
And we'd have our little moments. We'd also say what we were going to do that day, and then depending
In terms
on
of
how
what
far
you're
we
going to
got-
attempt to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Like a run. Would you call it a run? What do you?
Maybe, yeah. So especially with her, she'd be like, well, yesterday I did that ramp and I felt okay, but I need to do it like 10 times today before I can choose to go on the bigger ramp. Or I might be like, I want to jump that spine, so that's the only thing that I'm going to focus on. So yeah, like we just say what we're going to do.
But that thing about, like you said, it's interesting her going, well, okay, I feel like this fundamental thing again, the respect of the kind of, like, I need to do this before I can do this.
Because
do you think that's a
she's
common,
scared.
do you think that's something that you've encountered across most skaters? That kind of respect for fundamental stuff? Or do you get a real, because I feel like I've encountered a real mix.
Yeah, it's a mix, man.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm not even trying to be peak. Definitely
No, but it's
a mix.
interesting. Yeah, but it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, because like say if someone's like athletic to begin with,
Yeah.
they might have the strength to do jumps or they might already know how to backflip. So all they're getting to grips to is landing on wheels.
Yeah.
Whereas someone else will look at that and it's like, sir, you need to learn how to backflip before you try and do it on wheels. So because everyone comes with all these different, like, from these different walks of life with different skills already, like if someone's got a dance background, they're automatically gonna be more balanced, more poised in how they move.
Yeah.
And you might want to do certain dance moves, but they're never going to hit the same until you learn how to like strengthen your core or like hold yourself in a certain way. So yeah, I feel like that's the first thing that it depends on. But the second thing is like there are people that just pick things up because it looks cool, and then they don't get like how much hard work goes into it. And that's how you're going to end up getting hurt or just forgetting it altogether.
Yeah.
And then there's other people that are just genuinely fearless. Like they're like, I'm just going to try it.
Yeah.
And if it lands, it lands. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But then I don't really have much to say about it unless people push a way that isn't safe.
That's what I'm saying. There's duty of care, right? There seems to, particularly with people that you don't know that well or don't know you that well, like there is a presentation of pressure almost, like how you can't, come on. You're not gonna, right? But then again, maybe that's personality driven as well. But
could be. But it's like, for example, bombing a hill. Yeah. Like there are multiple ways to bomb a hill, and the safest way is a way that people don't think is safe, which is going backwards with toe stops on. Yeah. If you don't have toe stops on, you need to learn as many options as possible so that when you are going, you can like switch depending on how fast you're going or like how confident you feel. If you as a person can't explain all of those alternatives, then you can't say to someone, just go for it. Do you get what I mean? Like I feel like when you say duty of care, like that's what I mean. You bombed a hill like that and you were okay with it. However, there are multiple ways you can do it, and I feel like those that information should be available. So yeah, that's why for me, learning fundamentals also means like when I do say to someone, oh, these are all the other options available to you, I don't feel like I'm chatting out my arse. Like I feel like safety in it. Like I care because I want us to all thrive together. Like
it's not like there's this kind of romanticized thing of like what risk is and what you're doing and the expression. It's some sort of like there's like a kind of like the safety or a timidness. You're like no. Hopefully we're past that point where you feel like I'm doing something because I want to, how it wants to look. I want to know this has kind of legs. Yeah. But with that in mind, I can ask you, how like now or then, if we're still in the skate park, we're still in Scotland. How do you you drop inevitably, right? At times, there are falls which are not. That aren't just like I've just scraped my knee. They're falls that are like injuries. What is your relation? What was or is your relationship to that kind of thing now? Is it sense of like? Is it quite philosophical? Does it like? How do you deal with it? Or did you then? Is it always been the same? Do you know what I mean? Like.
So it's always finding the safest way to do something will minimise like the impact of a fall anyway. So like bending your knees.
Yeah.
If you don't bend your knees, whatever fall happens is going to be peak. Relaxing your body or learning how to like almost like do a gamble out of something.
Yeah.
But with skate park skating, there are like specific ways to fall like in the bowl.
Okay.
Specific ways to like catch yourself if you're on a ramp and stuff like that, which is a bit different from just like jamming because you can be standing and fall,
just drop.
But if you're not prepared, that's when you hurt yourself.
So are you taking the time to learn this stuff like from videos and stuff online? Is someone teaching you these things? Skateboard? Because you said like you were quite new to skateboard skating as well at that point in Scotland. So where are you? Because to take the time to do that, there's one, trial and error is one thing. But to invest in like actually let me just see if that peace of mind where is that coming from, do you think? Like are you? So
I did watch videos and obviously like people would say like how to drop into a bowl. And it's like there is a safe way of doing it, but then also just building up, so starting at the bottom of the bowl and going back and forward. And then when it starts to feel a bit scary, okay, slow it down and like building up confidence in a very gradual way. It's like I can kind of feel in my body like, okay, this is where I could be rocking. So this is where I need to focus a bit more. So then how do I fall in this situation? So it's like when the need rises, you just then you look for the solution. But I do like skate park skating, and I feel like it worked because of where I was. Because then when I moved to Edinburgh, there wasn't really that many skate parks, and like the main one was like packed. Like everyone would be there, so it was hard to like try and practice certain things. And then the indoor skate park.
But would you still go? Would you still go to them, or would it? Did
I had another friend at that point that was also doing it. And we'd go together, and we'd both be like stressed, but like we'd be stressed together, so it's okay. But then that's when I started going to the rink. So I kind of found like another space for me to like thrive.
So what would you mean by that? So the rink is, how big is the rink?
Oh, this one was small.
Small like?
I could easily say from here to there.
For real?
Yeah, it's in the length, width.
So what's that? It's like half a basketball court, or like?
Yeah, it was very small because it's in a shopping centre.
Okay. And it's people are coming in and it's a circuit thing, and there's music.
Yeah, and then like you'd be like jamming in the middle, but because I hadn't been to a rink for so long, I felt like, oh my god, and because it's so smooth, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going really fast, and I don't need to. So yeah, when I started going there, I was like learning little things, and then I got introduced to like a couple people, and now we're like really good friends. Like I love them so much. But
and this is in Edinburgh now.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would say like that's where I developed like my first skate family.
Okay.
And it's just so nothing I'd expect.
Yeah.
But like it just works.
Can we dig into that a little bit? Do you mind? Like, so when you say like my first skate, is that because it feels equal? As in, like, people are coming from different places, but it's not like, the relationship you had with your friend who was younger and 5, like, that's one thing. That's kind of gorgeous in its own way. It's like a summer of this is like a film almost, right? You know what I mean? Like, sisterly kind of thing. And then, so like, and then is it, what makes it feel more like a kind of family in Edinburgh? Is it because people are similar stages?
I would say there was more people.
Okay.
To even just interact with.
Yeah.
It's more women heavy in Edinburgh at the moment. A lot of the men are in like inlines and they do a lot of street skating.
Okay.
But I would say like there's just not really that many men. So it's like, okay, first of all, we're like people with vaginas, and there were more people that, even though no one looked like me, we just shared like same outlooks on life, or just like we had similar struggles in certain areas. And just everyone was so kind and friendly. And even though like everywhere has drama, it's still like, oh, you know, our cousin Billy is, he can get a bit annoying. It still felt not dire. Like it was just like, okay, so this is like what a family would be like. Sometimes you don't like the playlist that someone did that week, but we still got to skate. And obviously, because I was there on my own, it's like I'm making friends. I'm also hanging out with these people outside of skating.
Okay, right.
So that helped.
That's big.
And it just like allowed me to kind of fail in a space and not be judged.
Yeah. In a way that probably, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't want to speak for you, but like in a way that probably wouldn't have been the case at home. Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So
like,
I feel like that's what I'm saying. So like I didn't feel motivated to go to the rink back in Brum.
Yeah.
Because I knew that the people that I know are good. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know if like their bond was because they all had this interest, or was it strengthened by them actually being family.
Yeah.
So if I'm skating, if my sister asked me like, Alima, I want to start skating, like there's more than one reason why I'm compelled to teach her.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's my sister, I'm going to do the best that I can. But like, you get people on the ring and you don't know if they want to teach you or they want to exchange, or that's how I felt back then. Obviously I feel a lot differently now. But like I used to think, oh well, sometimes they tease me, so maybe they don't want to exchange that information, or maybe they don't have time or or the patience to help me learn. So I think it was just maybe just the difference in our abilities is what drove that for me, and that's what I meant before about like the anxiety. So I'd rather know what I'm doing, just to help with my own confidence. So fast forward to like Scotland, it was like everyone was trying to learn at least something. And one person would know what the other person didn't, and vice versa. So there was always a constant exchange of information.
That's something that that's a phrase that has literally kind of come up in every one of these conversations that we're having, is like that sense of exchange. And because we're in this realm, all the value of what you're exchanging feels like it's equal, because it's literally because it's something that you have a strength in and I don't. That if we share them, we both get better at this thing, or feel stronger in this thing that matters to us. There's something, and that's. I just find the beauty in the fact that that's not even necessarily vocal. It's not even like a planned thing or whatever. It's just literally a spot, and it's like even from my face, you know that what I'm saying is, and then it's like boom, and then that is, I think it's magical in my head because it's like
in real life too.
And it's just like that thing of like it's to find people to share that magic with. Just in the sense of like, people, your friends are going about their day right now, but you know that you have that thing, that you know what that magic is, and they know what that magic is. There's a power in that, right? Thinking about, oh man, I want to ask so many questions, but my brain's telling me to ask you now is, when I'm trying to visualize these things, because I can see from how you talk about it, if we were soundtracking, if we were soundtracking these different times, right? And you have to sum each thing up, but like, would there be a track that you would attach to 5? Would there be a particular song? Not that that's the only one that got rinsed or anything, but like, if I was going to, what would have definitely been on that playlist for 5, or what would have been a definite one that when you get to Edinburgh, was there a different kind of energy to things, or did it just depend on the day? Like,
so 5 was definitely like emo rap. I don't know who I thought I was, but some of these artists are like controversial. But I was listening to like Little Peep, XXXTentacion. Juice WRLD. It was very like, I was kind of depressed. I was very depressed in 5, and so I was just listening to music that kind of helped me feel. And that's why I was able to like longboard for ages and ages and ages, and just kind of just get lost. So then by the time I got to skate park and I was playing music there, I was like, I can't just be playing all this like depressing music. So I started to play like old school stuff, like Baby, Skin Me Tonight.
Yeah.
So just music around that era.
Yeah.
And it was like music that a lot of people already knew. I didn't feel like, oh, I'm the black girl in the skate park.
Yeah.
It was long. Anyway,
No, I get
Edinburgh
you.
now. Edinburgh was more like neo soul, Erykah Badu, but like I felt like it was from the 2000s neo soul, and I felt like there were more people that appreciated that there as well. So that was a big thing.
Do you think, right? I keep interrupting, but
Yeah,
if I
it's
don't,
okay.
I'll forget. Like, do you think, kind of culturally, it's interesting because you said, like, what you're saying. I'm in Edinburgh, and some of these people are my best friends, but no one looked like me. Do you think the landscape of it, skating wise particularly, is that just because of space, or do you think that there is, in terms of like the demographic of people, or people recognizing yourself, or it being shared by, do you think it's quite spread, or do you think it's quite a kind of narrow demographic of people who are like, if I went to a skate park I would see? Would that just depend on where I was, do you think, or do you think there is something in it culturally that is owned or kind of populated by particular cultures or particular ethnicities more than others? That's a massive question. Sorry, that just came to me.
It is. It's frantic, isn't it? Because like when the history of skating is very deep rooted and it's very, very black.
Yeah.
So, and it's the reverence to the culture, and I feel like as long as there's reverence, anyone can be here and it's fine. So that's why like I don't ever feel awkward. But there are times where you could feel awkward, like back in the 80s and 90s when they were making films about skating and didn't include black people, even though they took all the moves from the people that were on Venice Beach. Like, that's nuts to me. But that's not what I'm experiencing per se. If we take like skateboarding culture, there's like shoes, clothing, hairstyles, how a guy like stands on his board. Like, there are like really distinct like indicators of like that culture. Whereas roller skating, I feel like it's a lot, it's way more broad in just how someone carries themselves, or the people that are interested in it, or why they're interested in it. Yes, there was that like resurgence during COVID where it was like, oh, I'm seeing these like brightly dressed girls in like hot countries with this amazing backdrop of like beautiful landscape. I'm in the UK, bro. It's raining. I'm not going to get a beach and a mountain in the background, and I won't be able to wear a nice crotcheted bikini. So, like, people would look at that and be like, that's what I want. And there was an aesthetic that was attached recently. But when you really, really deep it, it's like the moves from back in the day that everyone was doing. Like, you're drawn to that soul and that, like, joy. So even if it did have an aesthetic, it was probably due to the time. If you see skaters in the 60s, they're dressed a certain way, 70s and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm just drawn to like the music being the heart of it, and it's like I get to dance to this music, but like we're on wheels, like it's just an extension of you. So that's why I say, like, in the end, there's so many people that come to it and are drawn to it. And so like, in Scotland, there's more white people, or there's not as many like people that look like me. So it's going to be more white people. And I can't really comment on the types of white people because everyone was so different. Come to Brum, it's a mix and match. There's a lot more black core skaters that go skating all the time. But I just would say, like, generally more people of colour because we're in a place that has more people of colour. And then you go to Tamworth and it's white people again. So it's just like, it's based on the demographic, 100%.
This is what... I think it's one of those things where, you know, depending on what lens you want to think or how you're feeling, you can go into these things, or you can kind of... It's up to you, right? It can be as surface level or whatever else. But I think the reason I ask is because I find it interesting, because it feels to me like music is so at the heart of it. And for everyone I've spoken to, at least, right? And to the point where, and maybe it's because I haven't actually sat down with someone who would consider themselves to be like a speed person. Even someone like Delroy, who started, like, it was all about ice skating for him and like sport for him, like he ice hockey, like but the relationship now is very much music at the heart of it. And I think about, you know, where music is now and like who owns what, and like, you know, you go to a certain place and certain things that make me kind of like shiver a little bit in terms of appropriation is a strong word, but just like ownership. And then you go over days, I'm like, just get over yourself, man. And I think there's something about like not remembering, but like inspiring to hear that. Right. It's an extension of that joy, right? It's an extension of the pursuit of the reason for doing it is a joyous thing. So, is it as joyous today now as it was at the? Is it a different kind of joy? Does it feel like the same kind of joy? Like, what is working about it? What is good about it? What are the things that are annoying? Like, people have been talking about like places to go and lack of opportunity to do stuff like. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is if we're painting pictures of what is and how you feel and what could be more? What comes to mind, please?
Okay. I think it's just peak because we're in the social media world. So like, how people are influenced to do things has changed.
Right.
We're not just like seeing someone on the road and being like, oh, there's that guy that always like roller skates to work.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you're inundated with images and images and images until it's like, you know what, I might as well just pick it up. So I feel there are more people that might just try it out. And so understanding what like the community looks like is a bit more difficult. London has a very strong culture with skating. And
what do you mean by that in a sense?
As in like they're the speed skaters.
Okay.
They're like globally known as speed
skaters.
Okay.
There's an identity in that. If I went down there, okay.
So even that, like being a UK-based skater, it's just like, do I need to speed skate to be identified? But then it's like, okay, that's a London thing. So then maybe how we feel about skating in different cities can feel a bit pressured.
Are there tensions?
No, I don't think there's tension at all. No. I just do feel like I don't know what it's like to be a Londoner, but I can imagine if I'm in London and I'm not good at speed skating yet, I'd be stressed.
Yeah.
In Brum, you've seen like a large influx of like people trying out speed skating and doing well, but then I wouldn't ever want that to seem like, oh, the Brum speed skaters and the London speed skaters. It's just like, it's just a type of skating that we do here.
Okay.
So I think there can be more tensions because of like just the social media age just being a bit of a sticky spot. I do enjoy though that we have like a lot more reach in general because there's people in the Highlands that want to skate, you know? So if they find out that there's like a spot in Edinburgh where they can skate, it's like, okay, that happens. I also feel like since being back in Brum, I have more options. I can go to lots more places to support other cities when they're doing events. Just
distance-wise, and it being more convenient that way.
So it's like Manchester has an event, Leeds or whatever.
And are you doing that do you do that regularly then? Like
regularly-ish, because everything costs money.
No, for true.
But
I mean, it's there. The option is there.
Yeah. Again, going back to the reverence, I feel like. Again, I think it's another fundamental to understand like where something comes from.
Yes.
Even if it's just basic information, like knowing where skating comes from, knowing how important the music is. You can't just pop on. So, like, I'm not even trying to repeat.
No, but come on.
There has to be certain sets.
Yeah.
The DJ needs to play certain things.
Yeah.
Because like speed skating is one type of music.
Yeah.
Slow jam music.
Yeah.
There's the hip hop and the JB type music. We need to cover as many bases as possible without being too extra. But like.
So is that okay? That's interesting because I was thinking in my mind, okay, is that in some terms of like inclusion? But you're going, no. There is like there's an arc to these things. There's a craft to the journey of what an event is. Or do you think? Or
because certain
break it down for me, please.
Yeah, because certain styles of skating don't work on certain types of music.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. I mean, you can do anything to anything.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But if you've got people that are like gagging to just like get their speed skate on, they're gonna need a section during the night to do their speed skate.
Come then, can we do it?
It's jungle music.
Can we do it? Can we? What time's the night start?
For the adults, 9. Let's say it's an all-nighter.
Okay, so
it starts at 9.
an all-nighter means literally all night.
Maybe like 9 till 3 or 4.
Blouse and skirt. Right, okay, look. So it starts at 9.
Yeah.
We're going to 3 or 4. I'm arriving. I'm lacing up. Whatever. What's playing?
So probably like
Oh,
the more charty stuff, but it would still be like skatable.
Soulful.
So maybe it's like the music from today that's like in like R&B,
Okay.
hip hop.
Right.
If trap was like big today, it would be a bit of trap. And then we might move into some JB stuff.
Okay.
So it's like footwork around the ring.
Yeah.
Then
What time is it now? It was 9 o'clock when we started.
I don't even know, because sometimes you can oscillate depending on how many DJs
there
are.
Okay.
Because you might have like a,
but if we're in
Bashment
charge,
Afrobeat set.
But that comes after JB stuff. You think?
Yeah. And then usually slow jams like nearer the end of the night. But speed skating happens, I would say, in the third quarter of a night.
So after the bashment.
Possibly.
Yeah,
or Bashment could sandwich that.
Okay, yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah,
but slow jams will be at the end.
Okay.
The stuff that everyone knows will be near at the beginning.
Yep.
And then
you got to read the room.
Yeah. Reading the room is important because people might be into hip hop a bit more. Or want to do more of the slow jam.
Yeah.
And like you can bring slow jam in like earlier in the night and see how people respond and then know how much you're going to do at the end. The Bashment Afrobeats is more like footwork stuff, but hip hop has a certain like tempo to it that is really good for certain types of skating or skate dancing. But yeah, I feel like when it comes to speed skating, everyone gets cleared up.
Yeah.
And you have to you have to give everyone a chance.
Yeah.
I feel.
When we used to go to nights, right? You go to a night, and we loved to dance, right? Older cousins and brothers, they were kind of back in the day, it was a break dance thing. We were never like we were always more kind of free form and going for it. But you go to a night, especially if it's a hip hop night, the breakers will just try and run the whole thing. And before you know, what you've got a sweaty circle of people just thinking their own, and it used to infuriate us.
Yeah.
Because I understand, and this is a beautiful form, but like there needs to be room for the people who like what I'm doing hasn't got a name for this move. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that balance. I love. This is the kind of bits I love. Can I ask a question? Right?
Yeah.
We're skating, right? The night's going well, right? Is there or has there ever been a track or sound or whatever that comes on that makes you go nah and just roll to the side and just like I'm not moving to this? Has that ever happened, or have you always been like?
I think when it's difficult because it's never really like that. I feel like if the DJ is wrong or if the music that's being played is wrong, it's usually like the tone of the night anyway.
Okay.
So like you're forcing yourself.
Yeah, it's not like
to
a
do
Nina Scratch thing. It's more like it's a vibe that's already been kind of built. Okay, right. That's
because if it's like too like I love house music. Don't get me wrong. But if you're trying to do certain things, the tempo's too much. So you're trying. And you're like, I'm tired. I'm gonna just sit out for a bit. But it's never usually the opposite way where like someone's put on one song because you just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna go for this one.
Yeah.
And
that's
it's
what
gonna
I'm
come
imagining.
back around.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's lovely to hear.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah, okay. I can see those things. So, like, is there? Do you think because we've touched there have been elements in all the things you've done which have been talking about, not even just like kind of like the kind of camaraderie or the group feel of it, but there's something in mentoring. It sounds like a really serious kind of thing, but like there's something about this idea about fundamentals. This idea about I see a 16-year-old. And yes, I joke about, it's a DBS case or whatever else, but my body doesn't go, no, stay clear. My body still feels like, you know what, we can learn something from each other, I can gain something. That instinct, is that something that you think is just kind of in you? Is it, do you find yourself in situations, or is it appealing to you to be in that kind of role of like taking someone under the wing or imparting stuff or organising stuff or like leading things? Does that appeal to you at all, slightly?
No, I don't like leading things.
No?
I like to be involved, as in, like, I like to feel a part of things, but I don't necessarily need to take a leader role. If I see someone who's, like, on their own, I know what that feels like, and so, like, I'm drawn to that person. However, it's the flip side as well, like, people can be crazy, and just because they've got skates on doesn't mean that they're a fabulous person. So you might meet you still have to have your wits about you, essentially. So, like, that, I was the one that was like, I'm going to take this slow. And it wasn't until her parents were like, oh my gosh, she's got a friend to skate with. That I was like, this is fine. Otherwise, I would have been like, she's 16. That's crazy. But you got people in the skate scene that will happily just go for it, and it's an issue, you know? So you have to just, you know, have your wits about you and be smart about things. But there is like joy in, I don't even think joy is the right word. It's like I was saying before, like, until I started longboarding, didn't clock for longboarders. And it's the same as when I was in Scotland and I saw someone that looked like me. There's that, like, nod of solidarity in it. So when you see another roller skater, even if I'm too shy to talk to them, I'm just like, aw,
like,
yay. And if we cross paths, and we'll probably exchange regardless. And I may never speak to them again, but there is something about being able to connect with people in the smallest of moments, because honestly, you could be having the worst day, and all it takes is a moment like that to just pick you up. So skates just gives you another opportunity to do that. So
No, I get it. Couple more things.
My lips are dry.
But like, are you a look ahead person? Do you think future wise? Do you make plans? Do you do this stuff? And if you do, like, I know it's a big question, but I mean, if I'm asking you right now, are you like very much in, I'm doing this because I'm doing this and this feels good now, I'm not sure what's going to happen with this? Do you think, I know in my gut I'll be doing this for forever? Do you mean, is there, how far do you kind of think ahead? And if you do think ahead, what comes with you that is present now? Because you do so many things.
Yeah, I just collect skills because I can. Like, if you can, why not? But like, I feel like, this is what we spoke about last time, actually. Like, when I started skating, I always thought, I'm going to skate until I can't skate anymore. Whether I do that consistently or not, doesn't really matter. But I know that I'll always have a pair of skates that I can put on and skate if I want to. Same with drawing. I'm always going to draw. Like, if I have a pen and paper, that's always going to be a thing. And I just feel like, as adults, just to be able to enrich and nurture is, I mean, overrated and underrated at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Like, when kids are like put into 7 or 8 extracurriculars during the week, it's not because they're really going to do all of those, but you're trying to figure out what your kid's into, right? You're an adult now, you probably know what you're kind of into, and if you don't, and you have like the means, go for it, try it out. And I just feel like if I'm interested in something, I'm not going to stop myself from trying it, even if I only get to do it 10 minutes a week. Like, there is joy in that, and I do, once I have started something, if I feel like it's, okay, first of all, I usually have thought about it for a while. So I'm not just going to pick something up just because.
That's the impression I'm getting. I'm glad you said that, because that's the impression I'm getting.
So, like, maybe I've been thinking about it for a while and all I needed was to buy a crochet needle. I've got the crochet needle now. I've bought the wool that I really like. In the future, I'm thinking I'm making hats for my so-and-so or a blanket for my friend's kids. Like, this is a skill that I'm going to have and I'm going to use that in the future. But for now, I'm still learning, and maybe it's a bit difficult right now, but I know I'm going to pick it up eventually.
So it's not about the destination, it's about the process of accruing more skill and more like the enjoyment of that kind of undertaking, as it kind of were. I think.
And just learning. Like, there's like so much beauty in learning, and if it's something you like, or you know that the end goal is something that you're here for, the journey will be so much more pleasant, even when it gets difficult. So, because even with skating, it's like, it's a little bit more fuzzy than something like music.
How so?
So, like, with music, you learn to produce. It's just going to be easier for you in the long run. Even if you're not producing your own tracks, you can talk to your producer or your sound engineer and have like more efficient conversations. Or just knowing how you want things to sound and understanding the way to get there can help you even record better or write better. Do you know what I mean? Whereas with skating, it's like, do I want to be a performer? No. But I do want to be better than I am today. So obviously I'm just going to keep going at it, and wherever it takes me, it takes me.
Do you ever do the, because at this point, and we've talked about so many different art forms and disciplines and interests and kind of and skills. Do they ever feel, do they overlap? Ever? Do they ever feel like they're overlap? Do you ever, like, say if you mentioned kind of drawing? Does the idea of drawing a project that involves more than one of these skills appeal? Like, if I was to say, like, okay, you know what, I've somehow tapped up some rich philanthropist or whatever. We've got this chunk of money to do a thing, but we want to involve more than one form in it. Do you ever think about, do ideas ever present themselves that kind of like that blend things together, or do they feel like they're quite like, today I'm this evening I'm that, like, do they feel quite, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because
they definitely connect, because like even if it's not me, okay, so for example, there's a guy in the skate scene that sells jam plugs, and like I made his new logo. That's cute, you know, I got to design a skate logo, but like
that's a professional thing though, right? That's kind of like it's artistic, but it's like, right, that was brief and there was a need for something, and I have this skills to do it.
But within the skate scene, like, okay, take me out of it. Just like even things like having a magazine or a zine that comes out twice a year or something like that. That would be really nice for the skate scene. I'm going to a DJ workshop soon, not because like I feel like I want to be a DJ, but because people keep telling me to do it, or they say, oh, you have a good, you know how to reference different tunes together, you'd be good as a DJ. So I'm just going to see if I like it, but if I do like it, whoa, skate DJ. Yeah. So...
Well, come on then, because what I like about this is, in the most gorgeous way, is there's contradictions in it as well, because like you say, like you mentioned, like, right, do I want to perform? Do I want to be performing? No. But there is something performative about sharing skill and like, demonstrating skill, even if it's not, if it's for me, whatever.
It's more of the belonging, because even like, okay, there's people who do like airbrushing and designs and stuff on skates.
What? Oh, you mean on the skate? I was like,
on the skates themselves, and it's like people are able to, have really identifiable skates or stuff that like really relates to them, and like when they're wearing their skates, they're like, yeah, this is me. They're not thinking, oh, that this person did the airbrushing on the skates. So even though that is that person's work, the reason why it's there is to make this person feel. It's the same with tattooing. People are walking adverts, but deep down it's like, that's a really cool tattoo. Why did you choose that?
Fair enough.
So it's like with the music, it's like if you know that music is the heart of it, in the end, people aren't going to be like, oh my god, that DJ is so sick. Okay, they might, but really it's because they had a good night, because they didn't have to think about how the music was good or bad. They just got to be.
It put them in a place, didn't it?
Yeah, so it's like belonging, but I'm not running the event.
That's a really good answer. That's a really good answer. But then, like, you mentioned a zine.
Oh, zine would be sick. Just
I get really excited. But then you said before, like, I wouldn't want to be like kind of leading something. I want to be involved with something. But a zine, surely everybody would be on board with that, right? Like,
yeah, but it's like, okay, the idea's out there, so it's like, find photographers, find people like yourself that can capture these stories, find illustrators, like we could make a collective zine where people send in things, and it's like, there might be like this hub that it's all coming to one place, but like, it's not my name at the bottom of it. It would just be like, I think that this would serve a lot of us in different ways that we didn't even know. So like, in Leeds, they have a creative... Mel, who's the head of Roller Girl Gang in Leeds, she ran a creative skaters market, or skaters creative market. I went and did a zine workshop there, right? And I was just talking about like mental health, and obviously a lot of people who skate, they do it for their mental health, but like just even that, like imagine in the zine you've got like this creative market that no one really knows about, and like you're struggling on the internet. You don't have to struggle, but like maybe your reach online isn't that good because the algorithm's a bit shit. But everyone knows about this zine that comes out, and like it's like nationally distributed. It's like just to be able to connect in that way, and it's not just on skating, but these are the people in your community and what they do. Could be someone that does food. Okay, now they're your wedding caterer. It's like so. It's just the opportunities that come from.
And did you have any conversations with Mel? Did you say her name?
Yeah.
Do you have conversations with these about these things with kind of people, or is it something that is like?
No, it's just an idea that I've.
Because it's work, obviously, and yet, you know,
Yeah.
it would take an investment. But like, it just makes so much sense what you're saying. It's like, what, to initiate that. What are we talking? Are we talking about dough? Is it a dough thing?
No, because I think maybe direction. Maybe it could be like. Because if it's every like twice a year, there's enough time for you to really think about what you want to put in there. Mm-hmm. It could be like who we're going to highlight each month, like the last 6 months of highlights, or events that had happened, or people that go to events just to report on it and get other people's ideas, or like a new craze but like a new style of skating that has come in, where you can find these workshops or whatever. It's just more like a very, very centralized hub, but it's tangible.
Do you think then it would make it, because there are two, in my mind there are two options in terms of kind of the project, the planning of it or whatever. You'd be like, right, you could do it that it was a kind of West Midlands centred thing, right, that was almost like a kind of pilot or an example of what it was, and that you could then grow, or you could go, no, it needs to incorporate anything and everything to start with, in order that, so people know that they could be included from the very beginning.
I see what you mean.
It's almost like there's just two kind of versions of it. Or maybe there's both, I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it's kind of like how So Far Sounds works, where it's in this one place, but different cities have the same thing. Yeah, it would be nice if that was also a thing as well, because then people within an area would get to know a lot more about their area if the whole thing is about their area. But in the same breath, like, even if twice a year for like everything to come together, I think would be nice.
We could do that.
Yeah, I have thought about it quite a bit, but like I do think there has to be direction in whatever happens, because even though a zine is very
bish
bash, it can be
is a
bish
thing.
bash, but it can also be like.
Well, it needs to have a heart
really
and soul,
thoughtful,
right, in the middle of it, right?
And do you remember there was a Brum magazine? It was like this small.
Yeah, vaguely. It didn't last very long, did it?
No, but they in the old library used to just be sitting there.
Yeah.
I love that, and I have a few from it. Like I don't know where they are, but I used to collect them, and
that would have been a passion project of a small, maybe even one, and then. For whatever life gets in the way, of kind of do. But it's like, I think it's the you can feel the effort and love in those things when they're gorgeous.
Because it didn't come out often. So when it did come out, you're like, what? Okay, these are things that feel important.
Yeah, and I wonder whether, you know, you talk about direction, because there is a version of it where, you know, you can kind of gather people together and talk about it by committee, about what it could be. But I also wonder whether those things only really happen when one person goes, I'm just going to do it, and then people can just come and do it in a way that's like, right, here is what it is right now. What do you reckon? And people go, ooh. That way, you do it by committee, and it just longs it out.
Yeah,
and becomes. Do you know what I mean?
I think it would be a time thing. But I mean, watch this space on it, but like I have been thinking about it for a long time, and because Rollout VHX are doing their first festival this year.
We talked about this very last time, right? Yeah. When's that again?
In July.
Yeah.
Could be June.
Okay.
Could be June.
One of the J's.
Yeah, and they always get mixed up. But yeah, because they're doing it for the first time this year, like even just writing a report and then seeing like, I mean, with this psychology degree, report writing feels like quite normal, but it'd be a good starting place. Even if Rollout VHX had their own zine. But yeah, that's where I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And
it makes so much sense.
It's too many different people, man, that exist. And imagine someone not from the skate scene reading that and seeing and being like, oh, the skate scene has a need, and I can fill it.
Yeah.
I've got a venue, or I've got funding.
Yep.
It's just like things like that, and just giving us more opportunities to just be. Because honestly, like I was saying with the spaces, like Birmingham's a mess right now.
No, but literally though,
Yeah. And I feel like we are kind of broken up by force.
I would very much agree.
Yeah. So I feel like there's work to be done. It's like how much energy.
Yeah, it's definitely an energy thing, but I do honestly believe, I think, yeah, when the powers and the decision making and the gatekeeping that kind of goes on break stuff, people just show themselves, right? And like it's easy for people who have the privilege or the means to make things happen wiki, but people who don't, there was a resistance to the fuckery essentially. So it's like, right, and what I need to go in full circle quite smoothly, but I just need to find my people. I need to who is gonna respect fundamentals, but is also going to bring something that is uniquely them, and be open to learning and sharing and kind of exchanging of stuff, and working together to do a thing. And it's just like, right, there's these interests, these pursuits, these passions, they're almost like a shorthand to find in your people, right?
Yeah.
And invariably I find, even if it's not like, I'm not going to be best man at everybody in this group's wedding or whatever, somebody in that group, I'm going to be like, you know what, we have something else that we can, do you know what I mean? I think that makes sense.
No, I definitely agree, because like my adult friends, do you know what I mean? Like it's so much harder to make friends during adulthood, or to find people that you truly actually connect with. And it's not just because you share an interest, like oh my gosh, my humour, which can be a bit sideways for a lot of people. You just get it, and to me that just brings me right back to childhood, where like people just didn't get it, and kids are mean. Do you know what I mean? So
it's potential,
agree.
right? It's like right. Oh, wicked! Now things are kind of possible, and I think that is. Oh man, we could talk for ages about the possibilities of the cuisine and stuff. But I think, like, I mean, is there anything that you, in terms of skating, a sense of, is there anything that you feel? I mean, because it's all come clear. Your kind of philosophy on these things, not just skating, but the skills, is kind of very clear. But is there anything else you would want to say, or like, do you think it's important to say or to ask in this realm of? Bear in mind, this will be a series of conversations that will be there to people listen to. The goal for me is to get to know a perspective and a bit of backstory of people who are choosing or choose to skate. And it's not any deeper than that in terms of what's interesting to me. I would happily listen and talk all the time. But in terms of what, you know, being in that realm and what you would want to communicate about yourself or anything else, is there anything else you want to say, or you find with a conversation? You know what I mean? Again, I keep hitting you with like little dinky ones and then big massive ones.
I think just me as a person and how my brain works, like super anxious, and like I'm committed to basics before the big things.
Bars.
But like I just feel like one thing I've been getting a lot recently is like, oh, I could never try. Whether it's skating or something else, just like don't say those things, because you really never know. And like for someone who like finds interacting with humans difficult, actually I said this last time, like I started going to a dance class where I'm forced to be in a partner, and the way the class works is that we drill with different partners throughout the whole night. And I decided to go to a class where I didn't know anyone and I didn't know the type of dance, or because I know I struggle with anxiety and it's messing me up. So like I could easily be like, no, I can't do that, or I can't go there, which is what I did back in the day when I didn't go to the roller rink. I projected how I felt onto other people, and it like made my journey stagnant. So like, I just feel like if you think that this is crazy, maybe find something else that's like not as crazy. Or do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I do,
it's
completely.
And then just build your way up, and even if you don't, it's that whole thing if you surprised yourself and found out maybe you like something else. But it's the nurturing and the enriching. Like skating is just one way to do that. But I guess for me, there's a lot of different joys that come along with skating. But just for anyone, just go for it, man. Honestly, if it's within your means, time and energy, just go for it. And I think before I used to be like, my motto is like, oh, it's just life. It is what it is. But you know what? It isn't always is what it is. It is what you bloody make it. So yeah.
We have to drop something and just bounce. That was perfect. Thank you so much.
The Rolling Out podcast is produced by Bertz Associates in partnership with Skate Buddies and with the support of an Awards for All grant from the National Lottery Community Fund. The music and sound design was composed and arranged by Sugunasingha.